Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be looking at something you're clearly interested in the internet and its impact on things like communication and education, personal growth even.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating.
You even sent us this English language YouTube video as a source. I gotta say, that's a pretty unique angle.
It is interesting how something like a simple language learning video can spark some pretty deep thoughts about a topic like the internet.
It really can. So this video really doesn't hold back right from the start. It jumps right into how the internet has totally revolutionized everything.
Well, ask.
Like how we access information,
Um,
connect with each other,
yeah,
shop, learn.
pretty much everything.
Yeah, it calls it a total revolution.
Yeah.
And I mean, that might sound a little dramatic, but when you really think about it, we can connect with anyone across the globe. We can take online courses in our pajamas, buy groceries without even leaving the couch. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, the video is touching on a really fundamental shift here. The internet has genuinely democratized knowledge and access to information. I think that's really important. And it's broken down these traditional barriers and hierarchies that we see in a lot of different fields.
Yeah, I know you're interested in learning more about listeners' hobby online.
Right.
Imagine trying to do that just a few decades ago.
Yeah.
You would have been stuck with whatever resources were locally available to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And now you can connect with experts from all over the world. There are online communities for everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, and not to mention just the amount of information that's available to you now. You can literally learn about anything you want from the comfort of your own home.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started getting into host hobby, the internet was a total lifesaver for me. I don't even know what I would have done without it.
Oh, totally. It's like having a library at your fingertips.
And speaking of things that have changed because of the internet, this video brings up a really good point about the rise of remote work and how it's providing people with more flexibility and work-life balance.
Right, like that was unheard of before the internet became so widespread.
Exactly.
Mm.
And it makes you wonder how this is going to shape the future of work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just think about how much has changed in the past few years alone. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a rapid evolution, and it's affecting pretty much every aspect of our lives.
But while the video celebrates this interconnected world, it's not afraid to address the downsides either.
Of course not.
One of the first things it mentions is online security and privacy, which is definitely a big concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, you can't talk about the internet without talking about the elephant in the room, right? Data breaches, online tracking, it's a legitimate concern, especially now that so much of our lives is happening online.
Definitely. And then the video goes on to talk about things like cyberbullying and online addiction,
Right.
issues
Yeah.
that can have a real impact on mental health and well-being.
Absolutely. It's not all sunshine and roses.
It's not. And unfortunately, these problems can be even worse because of the echo chambers and filter bubbles that we see so much of on social media.
It's true. You can get trapped in these online spaces where everyone agrees with you, and it can really distort your view of reality.
It's like the internet has this amazing potential for connecting with people and learning, but there's this dark side that we can't ignore either. It's almost like a double-edged sword.
That's a great way to put it.
And then the video takes this really interesting turn and starts talking about grammar and fluency in English.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, it's kind of unexpected in a video about the internet, but it somehow works. It even questions whether having perfect grammar is really that crucial for effective communication.
Hmm. That is interesting, especially in the context of the internet.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Online communication is often really fast-paced and informal. We use emojis, slang, shorthand.
Yeah.
Sometimes a perfectly grammatically correct sentence can feel really out of place.
I know what you mean.
The video seems to be saying that online especially, understanding and kindness are more important than grammatical perfection.
I love that it's like a reminder that even in the digital world, human connection is still at the heart of communication.
Absolutely. And, this whole focus on language reminds me of that list of vocabulary words that the video gives at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Words like crucial, convenient, expand, acknowledge drawbacks, and wait for it, sucked.
Hold on. Sucked. Like the internet sucked. They actually
Oh.
used that word.
They did. And I actually think it's brilliant because for as amazing as the internet can be,
Yeah.
it can also suck us in and become this all-consuming force that takes over our lives.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I know I've definitely fallen into the trap of scrolling mindlessly for hours.
Yeah.
I catch myself spending way too much time online sometimes, and it's like I get sucked into this vortex of information and entertainment.
It happens to the best of us, but that's why it's so important to be mindful of our relationship with technology and to really
Mhm.
make conscious choices about how we use it.
So how do we strike that balance?
Yeah.
How do we harness the power of the internet without letting it take control? That's the big question, isn't it?
It is, and luckily this video gives us some clues about how to navigate this whole digital world. We'll talk about those in the next part of our deep dive. Picking up on that idea of the internet sucking us in, the video dives into some specific advantages that can be both amazing and a bit addictive.
Yeah, like a double-edged sword kind of.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It starts with remote work, which has just totally exploded thanks to the internet.
Oh, totally. I mean, for some people, the traditional office might as well be like a museum exhibit now.
Right.
And the video also mentions entertainment, specifically streaming services like Netflix, which have just completely changed how we consume movies and TV shows.
Yeah, we have access to like this massive library of content right at our fingertips.
It's
We can
crazy.
watch whatever we want, whenever we want. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But it does
Yeah.
make you think about the future of traditional media. Like, how do movie theaters and cable companies and even musicians and artists, how do they adapt to this new landscape?
That's a great question. It's a huge shift, and I imagine it's both exciting and a little bit scary for people who work in those industries.
I know it makes me think about, mention a specific example of an artist or creator who has adapted well to the digital age. They've managed to leverage the internet to connect with their audience in these really new and innovative ways.
That's a great example, and it shows how the internet can be this powerful tool for creative expression and connection.
It really can.
And speaking of connection, the video also emphasizes the internet's role in collaboration.
Oh, yeah?
We can work on projects with people across the globe in real time, thanks to all these online platforms and tools.
I know. It still blows my mind that we can collaborate with someone on the other side of the world just as easily as if they were sitting right next to us.
It's pretty amazing.
I remember when I was working on, mentioned a project that involved online collaboration.
Mm.
And it was just amazing to see how we could bring together all these different perspectives and expertise from all over the place.
Yeah, it's such a powerful tool for innovation and problem solving.
Totally. It makes you wonder what kind of incredible breakthroughs are possible when people from all over the world can connect and collaborate so easily.
I know, the possibilities are endless.
And then the video kind of shifts gears a little bit and starts talking about social networking and how it's become such a huge part of our lives.
Well, it has.
I mean, it's true. We can connect with people all over the world, share our thoughts and experiences, build communities around shared interests.
It's really like a global village, isn't it? The internet has this incredible potential to bring people together and foster understanding across different cultures. But
Right.
as we talked about earlier, we have to be mindful of those potential downsides, those echo chambers and filter bubbles that can create divisions and reinforce biases.
Yeah, it's like a constant balancing act, right?
Yeah.
We have to be aware of the potential for both connection and division and try to use social media in a way that promotes understanding and empathy.
Exactly. And then on a more practical level, the video also points out the sheer convenience that the internet offers.
Oh, yeah.
Online banking, grocery delivery, booking travel, all these things that used to require us to physically go somewhere can now be done with a few clicks.
That's so true. It's hard to imagine life without these conveniences. Now, I remember when you share a brief anecdote about a time before a specific online service was commonplace. It makes you realize how much time and energy the internet saves us.
Absolutely. It frees up our time to do other things like spending time with loved ones, pursuing hobbies, or just relaxing and taking a break.
Exactly. But of course, there's a flip side to all this convenience.
There always is.
Some people argue that it can lead to increased isolation and a decline in those real-world social interactions.
Ah.
It's like there are always trade-offs with technology. We gain convenience and efficiency, but we might lose some of those face-to-face interactions that are so important for human connection.
Absolutely. It's a constant negotiation figuring out how to integrate these technologies into our lives in a healthy and balanced way.
And it's interesting how the video kind of brings us back to that unexpected discussion about English grammar and fluency in this context.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's almost like a reminder that even in this digital age where we're constantly bombarded with information and connecting with people from all over the world, language still matters.
And not just language, but the way we communicate.
Right.
That point about understanding and kindness being more important than perfect grammar is such a powerful message, especially online, where things can be so easily misinterpreted.
It's true. It's easy to forget that there are real people behind those screens, people with their own thoughts and feelings and experiences.
Yeah.
And empathy is so crucial for building those meaningful connections, even in the digital world.
I love that. So where do we go from here? What else does this video have to say about how to navigate this whole digital world?
Well, the video ends with this list of vocabulary words emphasizing the importance of language in the digital age. But for me, the most impactful word was sucked.
Oh, yeah.
It perfectly captures that potential for addiction and mindless consumption that we've been talking about.
It really does. The internet can be so addictive. It's easy to get sucked into that endless scrolling and comparison traps and all that negativity.
So how do we make sure we're using the internet to our advantage?
Yeah, how do we find that balance?
That's the million-dollar question, and this video actually offers some really valuable insights on how to approach this challenge. We'll unpack those in the final part of our deep dive.
You know, it's funny how that one word sucked. It really captures everything we've been talking about.
Yeah,
All this potential, but also this addictive quality.
right. The internet can be a bit like a black hole sometimes.
I know, it's so true.
You go online just to check one quick thing, and suddenly hours have gone by. You're just caught up in the endless stream of information, all the notifications, the never-ending scroll of social media.
It's happened to me way more times than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
But I think the key takeaway from this whole video and our discussion is balance, right?
Absolutely.
Harnessing that power without letting it consume us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries, making conscious choices about how we spend our time online. And the video actually offers some really concrete suggestions for how to do that, like being mindful of our screen time.
Yeah, that's something I've been working on lately, trying to set limits on my phone use, especially in the evenings. Just helps me to wind down, disconnect from the digital world and focus on, spending quality time with family.
That's a great strategy. It's also important to be mindful of the content we're consuming,
Oh, yeah.
Are we engaging with things that are uplifting and informative, or are we just getting sucked into negativity and drama and endless scrolling?
The negativity spiral is so real. It's so easy to get caught up in it, especially on social media.
But when you consciously choose to focus on more positive and enriching content, it really does make a difference in your overall mood and outlook.
It really does. It's all about being intentional with our online experiences.
Exactly. We have the power to curate our digital environment,
Yeah.
choose what we let into our minds and hearts.
And that brings us back to that powerful message from the English language learning video. Even in the online world, kindness and understanding are so important.
Absolutely. It's easy to forget that there are real people behind those screens, people with feelings and vulnerabilities just like us.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to treat everyone with respect and empathy, even when we're interacting online.
And when we do that, we create a more positive and productive environment for everyone.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
It has.
It's really helped me to think more critically about my relationship with the internet and how I can use it in a way that supports my well-being and my growth.
Same here.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that balance is key.
It really is.
The internet's an amazing tool, but it's up to us to use it wisely and responsibly.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of the internet.
It does. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
And remember, the journey of exploration doesn't end here. Keep learning, keep connecting, and keep striving for that balance.